Vale-Smith, aka Buffalo Staple, the music reviewer on YouTube. You should go check him out if you already don't know him. I'm sure you do though, because you wouldn't be watching me if you didn't know him, I imagine. And he has put out his second album, this time under the name of Vale-Smith. Last time it was B Staple. The album was called Gridlock. I talked about it on this channel. I liked it. I thought it was really dark and really brooding and really interesting, like trap elements were incorporated on that album too. I did say in the video that it probably wasn't going to be something that I'd return to that much, and I've kind of lived by that word, because my sort of take on it was that I don't really gravitate towards that dark electronic type of music as much as I do the more electrifying, upbeat type stuff. I remember likening, I can't even say the fucking word, to Arca's music, which was similar in the sense that it was very dark, but also I don't really feel like I ever want to return to Arca's music because it doesn't really gratify me in that kind of way. It also feels like it should be the soundtrack to a horror movie, so listening to it on its own doesn't really give you the same sort of feeling as if it was a soundtrack. But it's not like B Staple's album was exactly like that. It was more just the fact that it had similarities to that style that I just don't ever re-listen to that much. But to get an album that was really good, just through the fact that it's someone on YouTube who reviews music, I just wasn't expecting to get that much enjoyment, honestly, out of an album. So I definitely thought it was worth keeping an eye out on Buffalo Staple's future music endeavours. And All for a Cascade, under the name of Vale-Smith, has proven that he definitely has a lot of talent, because this is so much better in my opinion. This is definitely an album by a person that could easily become a well-known artist in the electronic genre, I think. And of course it's important to say from the start that, you know, me and Buffalo Staple are pretty good friends in terms of like online friends. I'm sure if we met up one day we'd have a good relationship as like friends. You know, we talk a lot through you know, messaging, and we've done video collaborations before, so I don't want that bias to come through in this review, because I know that can be a thing when music reviewers talk about music that are made by their friends or people that they know in real life. But I would not have talked about this in a full-length album review if I didn't think that there was nothing to talk about. Like that's the thing. I wouldn't have even picked up the camera and decided that I was going to review this if I didn't see that there was a lot of talent here anyway. So I don't think there is a bias going on. This album is filled with really bright and just chaotic instrumentals that at times reach really just absolutely mesmerizing points where like there's so much going on and you can't really decipher what it is that's going on, and it's just the music and the sounds are crashing together in a really interesting way. It's very much inspired by Wonky music. I think that is definitely where he's pulling from with this album. He's even said before that Wonky music is definitely his thing. Artists like Lunis and Igloo Ghost, Rusty, I know they're probably big influences on him on this album. And I've already said that Light Snow is like as if Igloo Ghost and Rusty had the best sex of their lives to then produce the baby that is Light Snow. And the way the intro and Avalanche transition into Light Snow, which is a really lovely intro track. I think it has like a nice ambience to it, but to then go into Light Snow was just like a fucking like like it really just hits you when that beat comes in on Light Snow, that bow 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 bow. This is absolutely the kind of stuff that like Wonky music has been known for the past like 10 years, since like it was popularized by us, like Flying Lotus. Like this is the kind of shit that's been working towards. And this is what I mean when I say this is a kind of artist that can make his way into a genre that's filled with sounds like this already, because he's doing it in an equally impressive way. Tracks like Immunity as well feel like absolutely bombarded with all these different ideas, and they come together in a really interesting way. It's never like you're being bombarded with too much and you're just not really getting any enjoyment out of it. It's more just like interesting to follow where it's gonna go. Like you're constantly intrigued as to like where things will go from there, because there are different transitions, there are different sounds, different influences on just one song on this album. Like it's not like each song has a cohesive sound. They just kind of go through these different paths and end up from like completely in different places from where you'd expect. And the best part about it is that even in the more quieter, more sort of softer moments, you're still grasped onto the album and paying attention to everything that's going on, because there's still like little flickers of nice soundscapes going on, still really beautiful sounds as well, and there's never one point where you're just like, oh, I'm bored, I want it to speed up again, I want the beat to go faster and harder again. There's never a time where it's like that. It's kind of like boiling rice. Yes, this is an analogy you're gonna want to hear. So like when you boil rice, okay, you let it go to the breaking point. You let it go bubbling like insane, like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, man. You get it bubbling, right? It's at the breaking point. The water's overfilling the pan. It's insane, right? Just like on this album, you know, it gets to the breaking point. Things go chaotic, but then you've got to calm it down. You've got to make it tame. Okay, so you turn it down, and then the water starts simmering a little bit, but you see some bubbles on the surface, just a little bit, but there's something going on. It hasn't just completely stopped, and you know there's no more boiling rice. It's still boiling, but it's just there a little bit. And it's literally like this album. I mean, it goes to the breaking point. You get all these crazy sounds that just send you going insane and your head spinning. But then there are moments where it's softer and it's a little bit quieter, but it's still nice and there's still something happening, and it's not just like boring ambient sounds until the point where it gets to the heavy sounds again. You know, it doesn't go from one extreme to the other in a really uninteresting way. It's just constantly interesting. And I do think a lot of electronic albums have that issue where there's one moment in a song where nothing's really happening, but it's just there to get you anticipating the build-up, you know? I think a lot of songs do suffer from this, and I don't think this album has that issue at all at any point, actually. Now, as much as I'm throwing praise on this album, I do think there are a few gripes which I think hold it back for me personally. For one, I think as good as this sound is, and as talented as Vale-Smith is at creating these sounds and crafting this piece of electronic music, it's not exactly the most original. I mean, I've made a lot of comparisons already, which kind of is a telltale sign of, you know, the influences that are in this album, so it's not exactly completely original. That doesn't take away from the fact of how good it is, but I just think he's not quite in his own lane yet, and I think by the time he releases a few more albums, he's probably gonna get into his own lane and be more unique. And the other thing as well, occasionally on this album, there are some transitions in the songs that don't sound as clean as they should, and I think Vale-Smith has already pointed out that there is a bit of a mastering thing that he needs to work out with his music. He's not completely in a point where he knows exactly how to engineer his album to make it sound clean, or he needs some sort of like help in that area, which is completely fine. Again, this is very much early days in his career, so that is still glaring at some points in the album, though. Some tracks just have these moments where it goes into a sound and it just sounds a bit like, okay, that kind of came out of nowhere, or it sounds a bit messy. Again, though, this is one of those issues that with time and with more experience, it's going to be cleaned up. So this is probably not the best we've got from Vale-Smith yet. I think there's still certainly an album under his belt that's going to blow us all out of our minds. But the thing is like, this is pretty much completely independent, I think. I very much doubt he had that much support creating this. And just on that alone, you can't deny the fact that this is actually a really good album that's not really been built on a very high budget at all. This is very much just his own ideas. And based on that, this is really good. I can't really critique it that much. I mean, just listen to this. It sounds really good. It's really upbeat at times. It's crafted in a really interesting way. I don't know, man. There's really not much to critique at all here. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a B. It's not quite an album that I think would definitely make a year-end list, but songs like Light Snow could easily be on my best songs of the year, and maybe this album could even creep up onto the albums of the year, depending on how the year goes. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, this is really good. So well done, Vale-Smith. Keep at it, man. I'm sure there's going to be an album one day that's going to definitely take off and get you a lot of attention. This album's already got quite a lot of reviews going for it, so yeah, I hope it helps expand your growth, and just keep at it. Keep making this kind of music and see where you can take it. See how much further you can go with this idea. And that is it. If you like this review, subscribe. Make sure you go listen to this album in case you haven't already. Have a good day. Yeah, have a good day.